Sorry guys,
Sorry.
something happened again. The power came back and the router restarted.
I'll be very brief now. I think I'm taking
No,
time.
it's okay. It's okay. Just take your time now.
All right.
Just take your
I
time.
was just
I don't want to. I don't want to rush you.
Okay, so I was encouraging those who work, depending, you know, everybody works in their own environment. Please, I think the most important is first. And you need to get that confidence that indeed you can design a certain facility and it meets the standards. You need to understand contract management. You need to understand quality management systems. And to build that confidence is always good when you are working under a PE. But of course, we all can't work under PEs. What surprises me is that once in a while, some people would want to come forward with non-engineering projects. And unfortunately, that to me, that's why I keep saying the local content, because we need to have more opportunities for everybody to be able to get the necessary experience. But where you work, as long as you're able to get to follow that the process, get to know what you're meant to do, I think get even an external PE to assist you, to guide you. Quite a number of engineers who I'm not working with directly approach me and ask me, read for me my document, or tell me what I need to do. And I tell them, look, you've done all this, but you need to go to the field. That's what I would encourage on that question. Finally, double standards. I would want to, in terms of demonstration, let me say this, that I don't think it's double standards. I think, as I said, for me, I value diversity, because we have diversity of thought, diversity in terms of experience. And I know when you want to engage with policymakers, actually, as in the public sector, do have an edge. We have an edge because that is what we do most of the time. Policy formulation, whether it is budgets or whatever. So I think I was only explaining the process to which I would go to demonstrate would be really the experience at the end. Before then, you needed to have done other structured engagement and escalating the issue. If we have to demonstrate as part of the issue is not getting resolved, so be it, we would. We would, because we are also leading other institutions. I think what is difficult, and there is no restriction for me in the public service now, I think you see people standing for different posts. And it is within our, there's nothing wrong, it is not against our terms of engagement. We would want, there's somebody background, something. Okay. I was saying, I will assure you that we will do.
Rayford, please switch off your mic.
Yes. We will do all that is necessary.
It's better now?
Yes, it is. Thank you. But I think there's Lena. I suspect it's Lena. It's not. Okay. I was saying
Rayford, please. I can't mute him because he has blocked me from muting him.
Okay.
Rayford, please switch off your mic.
Engineer, continue.
Yes, I was saying that we are going to, I would take, this is a position of responsibility. And obviously you are accountable to the membership. So we would have to do what it takes to be able to represent our members effectively. And I don't think there would be no contradiction if at any one point it is necessary for us to take other measures. I think that is, I think you also see many other of the professional institutions. I would think like the one for medical. I think he's actually employed full-time, not in the private sector. So I don't think that would stop us from representing you effectively. And I think we bring on the issues about policy formulation, policy engagement, and networks that would be very beneficial to the institution. Thank you. I'm done. Ndolo and Diana.
Okay, so please give us your parting shot and also request for votes. It's your time to pitch.
Maybe Collins, you have a question? I mean, we have some interruptions here and there, so maybe we can have more time a bit. Collins, do you have a question? Engineer, what will you say about engineering accreditation, and when EBK, for example, advise students not to go to particular university because the institution is not having maybe accredited by EBK. For example, look at the Technical University of Kenya. I have had a chance of teaching there personally, and I know they have quite good laboratories.
Yeah, yeah.
And unfortunately, they're not being allowed to register to date. I have taught in the Department of Electrical Electronics there, and I know very well that they have a good laboratories. And funny enough, and most of the lecturers rather, do come from KU. They do come from Nairobi University. They do come from JKUAT, because yes, they have the in-house who were formerly from the Polytechnic, who cannot be able to teach, but they also have those who are registered. I think now they have maybe two, but most of their lecturers are coming from Nairobi University, KU, Multimedia, and JKUAT, who are registered by EBK and accredited. Now, what is your take on the idea that students, the population of Kenya is growing, and we have to have more universities. We can't rely on the traditional main 4 universities that we had previously. The universities have been opened, and EBK must be able to accommodate them. What is your take on this? How will you champion an idea whereby EBK will be able to help the institutions so that they can get the required engineers there, so that we don't have a scenario whereby students go on strike and you know.
I think that, yes, thank you. I think that historically that was a very unfortunate case for students who went to courses which were then later declared to be unaccredited. But I know there have been a lot of good work that has happened through EBK, and most of these universities have since been accredited, including, I think, TUK is, I think now the courses are accredited. I think I would own. I think
not all. Not all.
Yeah,
I think it's civil and mechanical only. There are others are not.
Oh,
yeah.
I think there are requirements which I think as a regulator, there are requirements for what the institution should do to get them to get it accredited. What I know is that even when some of these courses which are not accredited, to me there's never a waste. You've done your course, it was not accredited. Usually you're given that this is the bridging. This is the bridging that you need to do. That I think happened with KU. One where I think there was a course they were doing water engineering, and there were some courses they had not covered, and they had to go back. So I think it's also, I think it takes two. It's an engagement, because also the university themselves should be willing to listen to the regulator. Because if these are the regulatory requirements, you know, I think this is also a government body. And I think it's also doing things in good faith, because we want to protect our citizens. At the end of the day, I think engineering, there's a safety aspect in terms of how you practice it. So for me, I think it's just to encourage EBK to continue to engage. Those universities that are not yet accredited should also then try to meet the requirements for accreditation. I think for me, the bigger problem is I find that when we also have students coming from abroad, I think they tend to have a very, very big issue. The diaspora, they're not diaspora, but the ones who've done their education abroad, usually it takes too long for EBK to also accredit their courses.
I was patient.
Sorry, you were patient.
I was very patient.
Yes, but I know it's affecting quite a number, and it's not. It's something that we need to also, I think, engage with EBK, because really, especially some of these courses that are well known, or rather some of these universities are world-class universities. I know it's a problem, and I've been asking all of those who have approached me with that problem that maybe the first thing we need to do is also come together so that they can address. Sometimes class action brings better response than when you go as an individual. And that has been my prayer for them. We pray for them because
Engineer,
I think
what will you bring to the table? Because you are going into a position whereby it's an influential position, honorary secretary. You should be able to give your opinion. Maybe you appear on a TV session, maybe on Citizen TV or national TV, and you're asked this question by a panelist. What will you do to ensure that we don't have issues arising like this? How will you advise? How will you request EBK and maybe Commission for University Education to talk, and at the same time put your views in terms of what we call the Commission for University Education Act that is being amended, which is giving the Commission full mandate to accredit courses. Yet we know very well that it can't happen. They have to negotiate, because, for example, health cannot be done by just a professor in literature, for example, to accredit. Engineering courses cannot be done by another professor, maybe in languages or something. These things has to have a panel whereby they write to EBK, and then they talk about these issues, and then they see if the courses can be accredited or not. As I always say, from a good friend of mine, Engineer Nzomo, gave me a very wonderful advice some time back, when he said that, you see, a doctor's mistake will always be buried. You die, you are buried. But an engineer's mistake, a civil road designer, for example, it collapses, it will remain there, and we'll see it for quite a long time before you build it again.
Yeah, so that's true.
What will you bring into the table so that we can have an idea that we know who is going into this position is a strong person and can always talk on our behalf? You are going to be a secretary, which means you're going to be a mouth to give information to your members.
I totally thank you so much. I agree with you. It's a very influential and sensitive position. I have no doubt about it. And as I've said, I think when it comes to working, my work ethic is that one, I have an independence of thought is very important. Objectivity, so that whatever you're saying is also the truth. It's not based on so much. So you'll find I might be a little slower because I don't want to say things that are just on, what is it? So how do, and then teamwork. I keep saying that we have to work now with area experts, because I think to also imagine that any leader is all knowing, it's not possible, it's not practical, it's even not modern leadership. I would expect to get briefings. I would expect to be working with a team of experts, so that if I'm properly briefed, obviously you're able to put your position across and hopefully influence policy. We shall not be shy. We shall be going to the media as necessary. I think one of the cries of the members we've had is visibility. It's not one of the things I've listed, because for me, the issues of once you have, what is it, what is your case? What is it you want to state? And if you state it in the right forum, then you will get your visibility. I think we all know there are people who speak and we all listen to, and the others who speak from the beginning of the year to the end, and we ignore them because maybe they're just using. So I would want to work very much with area experts, get well prepared papers and give statements, and also attend and engage with all these agencies if we can influence policy. That I think is one of the things we want to do. But as I said, I'm appealing that we all work together, because quite often it's not that there's a council there with so much knowledge or so much energy to work on its own. We all must work together. That would be my appeal. And I assure you, I will represent you very well on all policy issues.
All right. Any member with a burning question, please, you can unmute your mic and just ask directly so that engineer can respond. Diana, you have anything?
Nah, I think there is no other question.
All right, engineer, you can then go briefly give us now your manifesto, and ask members to vote for you. And why should they vote for you further from this session that they have seen your video? Ask them, pour your heart to them and see if they will give you the position and you deliver to them your promises.
Thank you so much, Engineer Ndolo, Diana. It's been a pleasure. I think it was much easier than I thought initially. Now, I think before you members is my 5-step agenda. I promise and I pledge that I will work very closely with the whole, with the council, with the secretariat, and with you members. For us to deliver this, we need to work in a different way from what we've been doing previously. We are going to need to have more engagements with our members. We are going to have to strengthen our secretariat and make the board focus on policy matters. I am going to be very strong on governance, which is my point number 4. We are going to have to improve or rather, I think we're doing fairly well, but we need to have a board charter. We need to have more transparency, even the data that we're presenting to our members. What's one of the things I'm going to pledge to you? And I just ask you for this position. I'm quite, I would be very honored to serve the council. It would be a high visibility job, but I can assure you I will do it, give it my best, give it my all. I think you have seen from my past, I have been working in most of the committees. I think if you count with all the other members, probably I'm serving in more committees for a person who is not in the executive committee. Mine is to also ask that we all progressively have more, a more positive outlook. I think we should have optimism. I think the future is bright. I am a deep believer in the Pan-African vision that I think our problems in Africa, it's only us who can solve them. So I'm hoping to have a very strong institution so that we can help our brothers and sisters and contribute to improving the lives of our brothers and sisters. So I kindly ask you to consider my candidature for the Honorary Secretary. I also appeal that you do turn up for an election day, because, and yes, and we wish the best man or woman to win these elections, but for us, all of us, to remain united, because the institution is one, our profession is noble, and we are going to continue to contribute in our various capacities to deliver for Kenyans their dream. I thank you so much for even this chance to be able to try and sell to you my policies. So I look forward to engaging with you further. I look forward to receiving your votes, and more so that we shall continue to work together. I thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Engineer, for coming and for sharing with us and talking to your voters and members of Institution of Engineers of Kenya. Diana, you have anything?
Yeah, just thank you for your time today. Honestly, I'm wishing you all the best. I would really love you to take this seat in terms of how I've seen you as a member, as an ordinary council member, and also like all your volunteership of IEK. You truly deserve this seat, and the many women like me you continue to inspire. So wishing you all the best, and see you soon in the corridors of IEK.
Thank you so much.
All right, from my side, I would just like to thank you for coming in and request IEK members and voters, please come out to vote in large numbers and vote wisely. Know that from professional institutions is where you can also get good political leader, or even maybe a Kenyan president who will lead well. China is being led by engineers, and they are the main politicians, and they have changed China. The same thing is in Korea. So engineers can bring the best out of Kenyan politics. Not so far you're fighting nice fight, but I want to see, I think many Kenyans want to see policies coming from paper into practice, and policies coming from boardrooms into the field, so that we can build, this is the only thing we do, build Kenya for the next generation. Otherwise, members who joined us for this session, I thank you very much, and I hope to see you again on the next session. Everyone have a good evening. Engineer, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.